In 24 hours, registered voters in 19 out of 281 polling stations in Ablekuma North will head to the polls for a rerun to determine who will represent them in the 9th Parliament. This afternoon, we are live on the ground.
Also, the ZAR condemnation as Ghana's recent abstinence from UN Human Rights Council vote to abstain against violence and discrimination towards LGBTQ persons sparks controversy.
And later this afternoon, a flower border trade remains slow after Togo protests demanding President Nyasingbe's resignation disrupts cross-border activities. You're live on News Central. I'm Kemini Amano.
And I am Mawina Igbeta. The bulletin starts right now. And by that sound, you know exactly what we're up to here on News Central. It's election, and in barely 24 hours, registered voters in 19 out of the 281 polling stations within the Ablekuma North constituency will head to the polls for a rerun to determine who will represent them in the 9th Parliament. On Wednesday, July 9, the High Court dismissed an injunction as filed by the NPP's candidate Nanekwe Free seeking to halt the election scheduled for tomorrow, July 11. Let's now cross over to my colleague Noble Crosby-Annan, who's currently in the constituency for us, gauging the mood. And remember, according to the country's electoral laws, 24 hours to the polls, campaign and all of its activities expected to come to an end. Crosby, what's the general mood on the ground as voters in these 19 polling stations prepare to vote tomorrow?
Right, Mawina, so if you come to the Ablekuma North constituency, particularly the Banyard Waterworks area, this polling station, it recorded some numbers of votes in the last election. I'm talking about the 2024 elections. But before we get into that specifics, generally in the Ablekuma North constituency, the mood is normal. It is quite okay. You do not sense the forceful, campaign activities of political parties ahead of elections. Maybe that is partly attributed to what you alluded to earlier, that some 24 hours before elections, campaign activities should stop. But of course, you see some vehicles, branded vehicles of the political parties, particularly that of the NDC, around, patrolling the streets with some speakers or megaphones announcing, their candidates. I'm talking about Rabna Obeng here in the Ablekuma North constituency. For the residents here and for people who are voting in the Ablekuma North constituency, I'm talking about these 19 constituencies to add up to the, I think, 262, so that we can get a complete 281 polling stations, so that the Electoral Commission will be able to finally bring finality to the parliamentary elections in the Ablekuma North constituency, so that they can have a member of parliament in Parliament. The residents, they are expectant, they are anticipating the day-to-day, they are relaxed, of course. We've gathered a few of them, and we're about to speak with them. There are some who are clad in the party colors of the NDC, and some who are in plain clothes. Let's speak with, first, the ones in plain clothes, and see how prepared they are ahead of tomorrow's election. Thank you for joining us. Tell us your name, and how prepared are you for tomorrow?
I'm well prepared.
When you say you're well prepared, what do you mean?
Whatever case, I'm going to vote for Rabna.
So were you here to vote in 2024?
2024? No.
You weren't able to vote in December 2024?
I voted.
Okay.
But not here.
Okay.
Akwashibu.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're prepared, so you not vote here, but you vote in another polling station that is part of the 90.
Fantastic.
Okay. And what time are you getting there to cast your ballot?
We are not voting today.
Yes, I mean tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yes.
Come there, you will see me.
I hear you. Thank you. So that's a voter. He says he's very prepared, and he says that he's going to vote for Irabna, and Irabna happens to be the NDC parliamentary candidate for the Ablekuma North constituency. Join me and talk to me. So this is a man clad in NDC colors and paraphernalia, of course, and I can say that per what you're wearing, it means you're voting for the NDC. How prepared are you for tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm sure, and I'm prepared for this kind of election because 28 years, MPP, it be them then they reign for a year, but we don't see nothing better. It be something where we mean them, where we want to make the say,
no, 20,
so, government section not good for us. Yeah, truly, I have to talk the truth because Ablekuma, we don't see nothing better. They don't do anything for us. They don't care about us. Go see Lafa. If you rain, no, then they go people them house inside.
Okay, so
very, very bad.
You're voting tomorrow. Are you voting in this polling station?
Yeah, I'm voting in this polling station.
You have your voter's ID card ready?
Everything is with me here,
And what time are you coming here to vote?
Early in the morning I'll be here, because it's very, very needed,
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you vote, would you stay till counting or you'd go and
I
come
will
back?
stay. Why not? That's the reason why I'm here, so I have to stay and know the best.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So expect the best from us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's speak with some other electorate in the Ablekuma North constituency. Thank you. You're also wearing Irabna Obeng. You would want to vote for her, of course, going forward. I'm talking about tomorrow's election. Talk to us about how ready you are for this re-election tomorrow.
When you say ever ready, I'm more than ever ready because I want to change. Ablekuma North is not changing. I've been here more than 20 good years. Nothing have changed. So this time around, we want to change everything. From everything, we want to change. That's why I'm here. So I'll be here 5 a.m. to cast my votes. So I want them to come early. And I'll be standing here until the 5 p.m. before I left here. I will not know that because they have done this before. I don't want to do it again so that they say they all don't have pinchy, that kind of stuff. Here's a peaceful police station. We didn't fight here last year. But I said don't have the pinchy to collect our results. So we are beef. We are real beef.
So you were here last year to vote.
Yeah.
What happened here last year?
Nothing happened. It was a peaceful election. So I don't know why they didn't get our pinchy to collect. So they want to do something we don't know, but this time around we are very ever ready. So
this is presenting a good opportunity for you
Yes.
to come and repeat how you voted in 2024.
Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you. So that's another voter who says he's very ready to vote tomorrow. Talk to me. You're also voting tomorrow. Did you vote here last year?
Yes, please.
Okay. How prepared are you? What are you, considering? Are you changing your mind from how you voted in 2024?
Nah, I'm not changing my mind. And as they say, the battle is the Lord, the victory is ours. We are just going to put in our best and expect a peaceful and serene environment tomorrow. I'll be here early in the morning to make sure I cast a better vote here. But all I'm pleading from Ghanaians is we all stay safe, humble, and pray for the best. At least the battle is the Lord and the victory is still ours. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for speaking with us. So where I'm standing currently is a mechanic workshop. There are a few mechanics here who, of course, they work here. So a lot of them too are registered voters in the Ablekuma North constituency, particularly this polling station or witness. It will be one of the venues, one of the 19 polling stations where the re-election will happen tomorrow.
I also want to know,
if you look
Crosby,
at this school park, that is the polling station. You are not able to see, any materials of the electoral commissioners yet. We understand that would be brought later, maybe later today or very early tomorrow morning. The electoral commission officials would come.
Talk to us about
set the place up nicely.
The presence as well of the NPP, if at all they are on the ground. We know that the party has reiterated quite strongly they will not be a part of this election. Have you sensed the presence of the NPP at all in the constituency?
Well, Mawina, it's been difficult to, if you're comparing the presence of the NDC to that of the NPP, it's been difficult to find the NPP going all out, just like the NDC is doing. Granted that this has been a stronghold of the NPP, maybe partly attributed to the stance of the party that they are not in support of this re-election. They are boycotting this re-election, if you like. But it appears that the position of the NPP's parliamentary candidate is different from that of the NPP party itself. She is bent on being to parliament. So we understand that she's campaigning, if you like, but not as much as the NDC has been campaigning over the period when this conversation about re-election in the Ablekuma North constituency started. Remember that the bane was with 3 polling stations because the Electoral Commission was able to reduce the number from, I think, about 18 to 3. But, of course, after careful considerations by the Electoral Commission and other stakeholders, they decided that a rerun of the elections will happen in 19 polling stations. Campaigning, I should say, is ongoing for the NPP and the NDC. The NDC much more visible than the NPP, but it does not mean that the NPP is also not campaigning. I'm talking about the NPP parliamentary candidates. Right. That has been what the situation is in the Ablekuma North constituency,
Right. Just finally, on security situation, have we sensed at all what looks like the presence of the security ahead of tomorrow in these 19 polling stations where we're expecting voting to happen at? And you mentioned earlier on that we're yet to see any signages of the Electoral Commission, anything to indicate that voting is going to happen at these polling stations as well.
Right, Mauna, if you walk through the streets of the Ablekuma North constituency, areas where the rerun of the parliamentary elections will happen, you do not get a sense of heightened security presence. You see what I would call regular security people at intersections, MTCD officials at various traffic intersections, directing traffic, allowing for the free flow of traffic, of course. You don't necessarily see heightened police officers, police vehicles, armored cars, armed police officers amongst others. Maybe in the coming hours, maybe by evening today, police officers will begin to arrive around these polling stations to oversee the elections and the preparedness of residents as well as all the other stakeholders ahead of the elections. But at the moment, police presence is just okay. It does not mean that it will not change, but it's likely to change going into the elections because of comments from various party supporters ahead of this election tomorrow, Mawina.
As always, Crosby, thank you. That's my colleague, Noble Crosby Annan, with details there for us on Ablekuma North. That election is expected to happen tomorrow. We here, your election command center, trust us, we'll be there to provide details as they come to. A bit more on Ablekuma North in the bulletin, but for now, we'll draw the curtains just for now on that election, crucial election tomorrow.
Now, let's turn attention to other issues to do with our border relations with Togo, because trade activities along the Aflao border have been slow despite the restoration of peace in our neighbor Togo after days of widespread violence across the capital, Lomé. Youth in Togo in the last few weeks embarked on civil protests to demand the resignation of the country's president, Faure Gnassingbé, in response to a constitutional reform which critics believe will enable Gnassingbé to remain in power indefinitely. The protest, which was met with brute opposition from government security forces and arrest of many protesters, had disrupted trade activities between the two countries, particularly in towns and communities along the border. Let's have a quick chat with our Volta region correspondent, Faisal Abdul-Idrisu, who's been keeping tabs on happenings along the border. Faisal, good afternoon. Talk to us about trade activities, the importance of it to these border towns, and how the protest has changed their lives.
Yeah, so the Ashigama market in Loma plays host to a large number of border traders from Ghana, particularly traders in communities along the border. They go to the Aflao, Tegbe, Akanu, all the way to Tienap, the northern regions. A large number of traders, particularly women, trade in Togo. And if you come down south, there's even more of an economic importance, because even when you go to Aflao, for instance, women cross to Loma to go and buy foodstuffs. Togolese, on the other hand, come to the Ghana side to trade. And so the happenings in Togo in the last few weeks has actually disrupted these trade activities because of the uncertainty of their own safety. And you'll recall that the statement from the Togolese government at a point ago, last week, indicated that they arrested some people, including foreign nationals, they believe were part of the protest. When I was in Loma over the weekend, I was told by some of the young people who are leading these agitators that some of the people that have been arrested are Ghanaians, but because they do not have families in Togo, they are not able to trace them as to whether they have been released or they are still in detention. And so these issues, once it gets to the traders, has been the reason why a lot more of them are not able to travel to Loma to trade. I was on the Aflao border where some of these persons have been telling me, particularly the local forest traders, have been telling me that traders that come all the way from Takrady, Kumasi, to buy from Loma have stopped coming. And what that means is that they are not able to trade. Other petty trade activities that happen along the border, including the issue of transport, where Okada riders offer transport services, have all gone down because of this. I was at the SPC seminar where they told me also that traders that come all the way from the places I've just mentioned are their clients, and the large number of the people they pick are from these places who come to trade in Togo. And because of the happenings in Togo, even though camp has been restored, they are not coming. And you recall also that during the tensions, the Ashigama market was closed. Now it has been opened. I went to Loma. Trade activities are happening in the Ashigama market, but Ghanaian traders who come from the places I mentioned are not coming. Let's listen to what the few people I spoke to regarding this subject matter have been telling me.
The demonstration inside Togo has greatly affected our business here. We have a large chunk of our people going to Lomé to trade, and vice versa. The inflow has reduced drastically because Ashigama was closed down. Business was not moving, so our people, Ghanaian traders who used to come and take goods, they ceased coming. And I believe now they have suspended the demonstration. But yet, I understand the Togo side, the borders have been closed. So goods are not allowed to come here. So definitely, it's still affecting us. We have our traders from Ghana, Kumasi, Accra, Takrady, our bigger cities. We depend largely on Togo. Based on goods and our ways that we use. Basically, most of them depend on Lomé, Ashigama. Here, our buses used to, we can, 2-3 buses can get full at a time.
From an Aflao resident, we still have Faisal, our Water Region correspondent, with us. Faisal, in terms of impact, what does it mean for border town residents if, or as we know now, trade activities have reduced significantly?
These are livelihood issues we are talking about. Like I mentioned, the local traders, on the other hand, depend largely on trade activities in Togo to feed themselves. And what that means is that their livelihood issues will be affected. Now, if you look at the issue of security in relation to these trade issues we are talking about, because people are so uncertain about the happenings there, it means that it's going to take a long time for them to be sure and track that when they get to Lomé, they will be safe. And so this is going to take a few more weeks before that kind of trust is returned. And that definitely is going to affect bread and butter issues, not only for people who travel from Takari to Kumasi, but also for the local people along the border. Because once the numbers are coming, they are able to engage in some form of trade, even with our Ghanaian counterparts that come to the border, and also those who are coming from the Lome side.
Indeed, but we also know that the relationship between the border town residents is not only transactional. We know that there are families across, the borders. How is this impacting general livelihoods? The children who need to go to school in Togo, or those in Togo who need to come to school in Ghana within the Aplao community. How is that changing their lives?
Yeah, within the few days during which the tension was high, all of that was brought to a halt. But now there is a bit of relaxation. When you get to the main border, screening has been tightened. But these communities use what we term as unapproved routes to the communities. All of this have been relaxed, and so people along the communities we are talking about, the local people are able to move in and out of Togo. Some are moving into Adido Goma, some are entering Lome and coming out. When you go to the main border, you see local people entering, buying foodstuffs and returning. And so this relationship that largely further on social, life is still intact, very relaxed, and so people are able to go in, out, to do whatever they want to do. And so for the local people, they're able to trade, and foodstuffs. Beyond that, they are not able to do any other thing. The Asigama market, even though it's still operational, there's still that kind of uncertainty. So people are not able to stay as long as they want to do any other transactional activities.
We'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Faisal Abdul-Idrisu is our Volta region correspondent who joined us from the Aplao border, where he tells us trading activities have reduced significantly because of the unrest in Togo.
Now, Ghana's recent abstinence from a United Nations Human Rights Council vote to renew the mandate of the independent expert on the protection against violence and discrimination against LGBTQ plus persons has sparked controversy. Ghana's reps joined 2 other countries to abstain, while 29 member states voted in favor of the mandate renewal. 15 countries also voted against the renewal on Monday, July 7, during the Council's 59th session in Geneva. Ghana's decision to abstain comes at a time of heightened domestic pressure to legislate against LGBTQ plus activities. In May, the Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Alban Bagbin, announced plans to reintroduce the widely criticized anti-LGBT bill after a botched attempt to pass it in the 8th Parliament. The Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto Ablekuma, has come under some criticism for the choice to abstain, especially when Ghana's position on LGBTQ is clear. Proponents of the recent decision also argue that the decision drums home a commitment to ensure members of the community are not attacked for their choice. Moses Fuamweni is a private legal practitioner and an advocate for the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. He's joined us via the phone. I appreciate you speaking to us. Would you join the others to conclude that the country appears to be flip-flopping on a position already agreed on?
Well, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to all your listeners. I like your script writer. Widely criticized by who? What's the base of the widely? Anyway, but let me just identify my position. I am the Executive Secretary of the National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values. It's a coalition involving all Christian, all Muslims, and all our traditional rulers, as you're very much aware. I'm the Executive Secretary and the spokesperson, so I'm not just a human rights activist or something like that. So that's the role in which I'm speaking on this program. Now, the truth of the matter is that LGBT rights don't belong to the framework of international human rights law. The LGBT movement are aware of it. And over the last 20, 30 years, they have falsely pushed into UN, law that it is an assumption. That is certainly not the case. The appointment of a UN expert on the protection of, LGBT rights and, the discrimination against and violence against LGBT people didn't start today. It started in 2017. And the UN Human Rights, Commission and Council, tried to pass in establishing this expert, there was a vote on it. Ghana abstained. So for the politicians, let me make them understand that this is not a today matter. It started in 2017. Ghana abstained. In 2018, because we have put a lot of pressure during the CSE, Comprehensive Sexuality Education stuff, the government voted against it. From 2019, they've always abstained. So I think that the government itself probably were not aware. Our UN representative, I think, should be blamed for some of these matters. But I think it is important for the minister, Honorable Samuel Kudus. And let me say this: he's been very warm about it. He sent me a copy of the publication that all of us have seen, and I'm going to brief him about some of the areas that I think are wrong. But the truth of the matter is, in Ghana, and the Supreme Court held last year that Section 104 of the Criminal Offences Act, it's not unconstitutional, right. And the section, Article 17, which the minister quoted in his article, it cannot be quoted in support of LGBTQ plus activities at all. And by the way, what was the basis of the voting was not the violence. It was the renewal of the mandate of the expert. And the role of the mandate of the expert is to push LGBTQ plus activities around the world. That's a matter of fact.
So you would have expected that they would have voted against the renewal of the mandate?
Yes. Precisely, they should have voted against it if the country had been properly briefed. And my briefing to the minister, because I think he needs a lot of briefing, our UN representatives, to be honest with you, who are in Geneva, are very, very, they're the ones that are given the impression of flip-flopping. The country's foreign policy, according to Article 17.3, is very clear. It must be organized in the interest of Ghana. And everybody knows that the majority of Ghanaians don't like LGBTQ plus activities. They don't hate people with those challenges. Indeed, we have a hospital that caters for them. But what we don't want is to flaunt it, to glamorize it, as Western Europeans do. So really, the government's position must be made very clear and unequivocal, and then we instruct our UN representatives accordingly.
But you have admitted that since 2019 we've always abstained, and so yes, abstaining really shouldn't be that big of a deal. Rather, what some will say is the disappointment some of you would feel that 7 months on we're still yet to see this new bill go into Parliament and receive the appropriate approvals.
I'm not cutting you, sir. What do you mean, some of us? Are you happy with the man entering through the exit? Are you happy about it? So it's not about me. Even yourself and your parents and everybody sitting in your studio know that LGBTQ plus activities are abnormal. So don't talk about me, please. You are interviewing me.
I'm not making this about you. I'm just asking on the pointers that you admit to a certain trend in our abstinence from these votes. That's why I'm making the point that then really, to all of the individuals who are criticizing or who may have raised concerns, this is in line with what we've been doing since 2019. Rather, criticism, for instance...
hold on. But I think as a TV3 journalist, that's exactly what Ghanaians voted against. Right. You shouldn't be talking like this. You should be the first person I've seen you pontificate about what Ghanaians voted against. You should be the last person talking like this. That's exactly what Ghanaians voted against.
Absolutely.
So the government chose to abstain, which is one of the major reasons why Ghanaians dismissed them in 2024 in a historic vote. Then this government should be doing something different. Don't you think so? You answer me. Your audience is listening to you.
Unfortunately, I'm not supposed to be answering the questions, but on 7 months on... 7 months on, Ms. Amweni, 7 months on, should we have been seeing a lot more? Because we've seen one of the lead advocates, Sam George, write on social media as well, expressing some disappointment with the position we took at this voting while reiterating his commitment. Should it have gone beyond these commitments and reassurances that we'll see the bill come into light?
I totally agree with you. And I think the government should work quicker than it is. But as a coalition, let me give you information. We've even written to the Constitutional Review Committee for a review and an amendment to the Constitution, amending the Constitution to have clear provisions prohibiting LGBTQ plus activities, but giving care, treatment, and support for those who face such challenges. That's one. Two, defining sex to mean male and female, as President Trump has done in the United States. So we're even going beyond the law. And I'm hoping that Professor Temple and his group of committee members will invite us, we do the presentation, and I'm hoping the government, the president has promised us that his attorney general will bring the bill to parliament, but not only the bill, he should support the constitutional amendment to ensure that this is clear, black and white. The Ghanaian constitution abhors such behavior, although we take care of those who need it. I think that is the way to go.
Right, Mr. Moinin, as always, appreciate you talking to us. As for Moinin, he leads that coalition of Christians, Muslims, different groupings, all backing the passage of the bill and speaking strongly against the activities of LGBTQ plus persons in the country. We'll take us on to our very first break here on News Central. When we return, we have a bit more stories for you. Please do stay tuned in.
Why are more and more professionals choosing flamingo paint?
As an interior decorator, I aim for the beautiful
It's still News Central here on TV3. Let's turn attention to the health sector and talk about the Mpox outbreak, because the Ghana Health Service has confirmed 7 new cases of the viral disease as of July 6, 2025, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 170 across the country. The service is urging the public to take extra precautions as Mpox continues to spread primarily through close contact with infected individuals. The health service says it is closely monitoring the situation and encouraging communities to report any suspected cases promptly. Dr. Joseph Oliver Komi is director at the Ghana Infectious Disease Center. Doc, what do the recent rise in Mpox cases tell us, especially when over and over again the Ghana Health Service has assured the Ghanaian public that you're safe?
So, good afternoon to everyone. The increase in numbers just tells us that we are still looking and we are still finding the cases. For us, I quite remember some time ago, I made a statement that we will get to close to 200 cases, and thereafter maybe we will see a decline. That tells you that once you're around 170, it means there's active case search. Either we thought Mpox wasn't endemic, but it looks as if Mpox is endemic. So the more we make noise about Mpox, the more we educate people about Mpox, the people are coming out. Either there was a lot of stigma surrounding Mpox, but people now with education have more or less destigmatized Mpox. So once they have a rush, they are coming out for us to check whether it's Mpox or not, and we are picking up some more cases. So honestly, for us, we think that it's good news. We are around 170. We are looking at maybe getting close to about 200 cases. Then we know that then we shall start coming down. Because what we saw initially was just a tip of the iceberg. Now we are getting closer to the real figures that are around.
I see. So you're estimating that you will record 30 more infections over what period?
Well, I can't tell over what period, but then we feel that from our projections, getting close to 200 cases is ideal for what we know and for what we've been seeing.
What are you basing this projection on?
So initially I said that Mpox wasn't, we didn't think Mpox was endemic. We didn't think so because we are not testing and we're not looking for it. But then as we look and as we test, we are finding. All around us, other countries, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, they had Mpox. But we said we didn't have Mpox because we were not finding the cases. So once we decided that we will actively look for the cases, definitely we are expecting to see the cases. And people, like I said earlier on, are no longer stigmatized about the condition. So they are coming out and you are seeing them. Mind you, we are seeing rashes that are sometimes 2 weeks old, meaning the people themselves didn't think it was a problem. But because we are saying that Mpox is a problem, that's why they're coming out.
I see. But we've also seen Mpox have devastating effects in countries in East and South Africa. What is the level of concern here as we expect even more cases until there is a dive down?
So remember, there are two types of the virus. There are two clades. You have the East African clade and also the West African clade. The problem you are seeing in East Africa is the East African clade, which is more aggressive, which causes more severe disease, as compared to the West African clade, which is milder. And that is what we tend to see here. So I won't say that what we're seeing in East Africa will be replicated here because the clades are different and they behave differently.
I see. What should people look out for in terms of symptoms?
Remember we said over time and again that there's a high fever over a period of days, let's say 3 to 5 days, then you break out with a rash. The rash usually will start from the face and spread to the rest of the body. There are other people who will just get the fever and the rash maybe starts from the groin area or around the buttock, together with what we call lymph nodes or swollen lymph glands, especially around your neck. That is when we think that this one is Mpox and not chickenpox.
Thank you so much, Doc, for your time this afternoon.
Now, private legal practitioner Kwame Kufu says there's a need to add a constitutional instrument to the existing Article 146, which spells out how a justice of a Supreme Court should be removed. The comment comes as the suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo goes to the ECOWAS court against the state over abuse of her human rights in the process of using Article 146 to investigate claims of misconduct against her. Kwame Kufu spoke in an exclusive interview with my colleague Beatrice Edu.
Because sometimes your thinking or your dissenting thinking can be the intelligence of a future day. So I do not like to condemn other legal work as being wrong.
Having made that point, yes. And once again, just before I go to the interpretation, yes. Would you say there are those who think that, and that's something that you've said, that there are schools of thoughts regarding how she's handled matters. Mm-hmm. And others are concluding that perhaps what we're seeing now, she brought them upon herself with her own actions and inactions.
I don't believe in that she's brought anything upon herself. I think that those who have brought the petitions have their own reasons for bringing a petition. Every day in and out as we walk the streets of this republic, people make complaints against us, sometimes on their lips, sometimes on the soft part of their minds. If they had a venue to ventilate this, they will bring it against you. When a judge sits and gives decisions, she has rendered the decision. As to how you decide to look at it, it's not a matter of the judge bringing it upon herself or himself, but the judges will be caged. But as I keep on saying to you, those are not the things. Let me just move very straightforward to the point. We've had this constitution for 25 years and more, if not 33 years for that matter.
From 1993?
25 plus 33, 33 years. Mm. Now, we have a situation where I would have thought that by now, and perhaps this case should teach us a lesson, that there's a need for a constitutional instrument to regulate the removal of the Chief Justice so that we know what pertains in the procedure.
Now, President John Dramani Mahama is courting partnership from the Portuguese government in helping set up a national airline. President Mahama speaking during the presentation of credentials by new Portuguese ambassador to Ghana, Maria da Conceição de Sousa Pilar, expressed government's commitment to continue doing business with the European nation. 5 countries, Portugal, Seychelles, Venezuela, Chad, and Gabon, presented their letters of credence to the president. Let's listen to President Mahama speak a short while ago.
Today, the most famous tourist landmark in Ghana is the Elmina Castle, which was built by the Portuguese several centuries ago. And so our ties are historical. We also appreciate the fact that the Portuguese national airline flies directly to Accra. And so that improves people-to-people relationship. I've flown it before. When I was going to Brazil, I went through Lisbon with TAP. And then we tapped to Sao Paulo. And so I have experienced your national airline before. Ghana itself is trying to re-establish our national airline, and at the appropriate time, we'll be looking for partners. And maybe if Portuguese national airline is interested, we could do a partnership. But we want to expand economic relations with Portugal, and we believe that we can attract more investors to come and invest in Ghana. Ghana has a lot of natural resources, a lot of land, a lot of water. So for agriculture, for agribusiness, for mining, oil and gas, I mean, there's so many opportunities that we have here. With a market size of almost 35 million people. And then also with the African Continental Free Trade Area, it's possible to reach a market size of 1.3 billion people in Africa. And so we believe that forging stronger economic ties and inviting more Portuguese business people to come and do business in Ghana would be a win-win, both in terms of investment and also in terms of creating employment opportunities for our young people.
As a president, now the Minister for Transport, Joseph Bukari-Nikbe, has announced that government is reviewing existing laws to install solar systems in public buildings to charge electric vehicles. Answering questions about the implementation of the electric vehicles policy in Ghana, he stated that between 2024 and 2026, his ministry will collaborate with the Finance Ministry to address tax exemption concerns to ensure the policy is executed. He also revealed that efforts are ongoing to convert the Terminal 2 section at the Kotoka International Airport into a dual one to support the Terminal 3.
The National Electronic Vehicle Policy outlines institutional arrangement for implementation, assigning the lead responsibility for promoting the installation of solar systems in public buildings to the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, as well as the Ministry of Works and Housing and Water Resources. Mr. Speaker, the policy adopts a phased implementation approach, and according to the implementation roadmap, we have from 2024 to 2026 to promote the installation of solar systems in public buildings for charging electronic vehicles. The lead role is within the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, but there's a collaboration between the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, and some of the installations have been put in place by now. Even some will be commissioned soon. The other incentive is to let the people be aware of the advantages of using EV vehicles, because they are cheaper to operate and they are good for general public transportation. So that is the campaign we are doing in the region. In recent times, Terminal 3 at Kotoka International Airport has witnessed increasing passenger volumes and congestion during peak hours. To address this, Ghana Airport Company Limited has developed a plan to convert Terminal 2 into a dual-purpose facility that can support Terminal 3 during peak times.
Joseph Bukari-Nikbe is the Transport Minister. He'll take us on to our very second break on this bulletin. When we return, we'll across the regions spot checks as to what's happening there. Stay with us.
Let's go to the northern region, where the Northern Electricity Distribution Company of the Volta River Authority has initiated a midnight to dawn monitoring operation to clamp down on illegal connections and power theft in the Great Tamale metropolis. Even though this has been met with stiff opposition from the public, the company insists it is working within the law to deal with power theft and illegal connections. At an emergency meeting between the company and assembly members in the Tamale metropolis, NETCO said the midnight operations have been positive by reducing the percentage of losses from 47 to 30 plus. Some assembly members have been speaking about the move.
Kotoka, am I right? You said that there is no law which prohibits you from checking. You use checking or monitoring any meter at any time. Please, first, I want you, this is a house of records. I want you to quote that provision or law so that we will know. However, there is an express provision under the PURC Regulation 2020 LI 2413, which states, with your permission, and I quote, Regulation 38, Sub-Regulation 1, it says, and I quote, subject to...
Now, let's have a quick chat with our Northern Region correspondent, Christopher Amwako. Chris, clearly it appears that the residents are not happy with the disconnections outside working hours. But what's NETCO saying about this?
School is saying that as far as they are concerned, they are working within the ambit of the law. There is nothing that prevents them from undertaking that exercise midnight and dawn. And so they are going to continue with the exercise, be it as it may, that some residents are not happy, but they have to do the needful so that they will also be able to curb the incidence of power theft in the region. Now, in the Tamale metropolis, according to NETCO, the illegal connections, people do it in the night because they feel that NETCO does not operate in the night. So during the day, they will remove the cables that they use to do the illegal connections, and at night, they will reconnect themselves. And so that is why NETCO has taken that decision. Maxwell Kotoka has been speaking on behalf of NETCO.
Well, we'll hear that later. But you know, in the meantime, how bad is the situation?
Yes, it is very bad because you remember that the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, when he visited the northern region, indicated that the Greater Tamale metropolis accounts for over 50% of the power losses in the country. And so they are putting in place measures to ensure that that power theft is kept. And so NETCO is bent on undertaking the exercise. The operation is going to continue so that they will be able to curb the incidence of power theft in the Greater Tamale metropolis.
I see. Christopher, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Christopher Amwako is our Northern Region correspondent and then Regional Hub.
And that's it from us this afternoon on News Central. A reminder that we're on tomorrow on that rerun at Ablekuma North, 19 polling stations. The expectation is the Electoral Commission will be addressing the media a lot later today as well on preparations ahead of tomorrow, and so be on the lookout for that as well. A reminder, we are your election command center as always, and so Do stay tuned in. I am Mawena Egbeta.
And I am Kemeni Amano. Next is the afternoon show. Bye-bye.